Percy wished he had Annabeth's hat, but it turned out that he didn't really need it. Every time they passed a guard, Nico just pointed at it, and it collapsed and fell asleep. But the more he did it, the more tired he felt. By the time they made it out the front doors, Percy was carrying Nico. Then they heard the sound of gongs from the palace. "Percy, alarms," Nico said. "They already know. Save yourself." Then, as if on cue, Mrs. O'Leary appeared. It seemed like Hades just kicked her out without even caring about what happened to her. So they ran back to where they came from. As soon as they stopped, Nico slipped off her back, and Percy gave him some ambrosia from his pocket. "How do you feel?" Percy asked. "Better," Nico mumbled. "Your powers totally drained you," Percy noted. Nico nodded, and said in a sleepy voice, "With great power comes great..." Whoa there, zombie boy. You can nap later. We're at the river. You gotta tell me what to do." Okay, but we better hurry," Nico said. "My dad should be coming soon." "So, what do I do? Just jump in?" Percy asked him. No, you gotta prepare yourself first," Nico said, "or the river will destroy you. It'll burn away your body and soul. You see, you have to..." Boom. A ghostly Greek warrior popped up right next to them. There was a really deep, nasty wound on his ankle. When Percy noticed that, he knew right away who this ghost was. This guy was Achilles. "I warned the other one not to follow my path, and now I will warn you," he said. "You must not do this. You will be hard to penetrate, but at the same time you will still be just as easy to defeat. Your weaknesses and failings will increase as well." "You know, I could just wear something a little better than sandals. No offense," Percy said. "The heel is only my physical weakness, demigod. That is where my mother held me when she dipped me in the Styx as an infant. Yes, my luck ran out when Apollo blessed some Trojan prince and got a lucky shot, but what really had me killed was my own arrogance. I beg of you, for your own sake, turn back." Percy could hear the regret in his voice. He could tell he was trying to save him from a terrible fate. But then again, Luke had been here, and he hadn't turned back. Then Percy realized this is why Luke was able to become Kronos' host without falling apart. Dipping himself here in the Styx helped prepare him. It explained why he was so hard to kill. It would explain how he survived falling from the Titan's palace 2 years ago. "I have to do it," he told the ghost. "Otherwise, I don't stand a chance." "Then may the Olympians know I tried. If you must, hero, then you must concentrate on your mortal point. You must picture one single spot on your body that will remain vulnerable. This is the point where your soul will anchor your body to the mortal world. It will be your greatest weakness, but also your only hope. No mortal can be completely invulnerable. If you lose focus on what keeps you mortal, the river will burn you to ashes." "I don't suppose you could tell me where Luke's mortal point is?" Percy asked. "Prepare yourself, foolish boy," the ghost said. "Whether or not you survive this, you have already sealed your doom." And the ghost of Achilles disappeared without another word. "Maybe he's right," Nico said. "This was your idea, Percy." "I can't survive fighting him any better way," Percy said. "If anything happens to me, well, maybe Hades will get his wish and you'll be the kid in the prophecy after all." Percy concentrated and pictured a small point on his back. He figured it would be hard to be hit there if he wore his body armor in battle. Then, cannonball! Floating in that water was like swimming in acid. For once, he couldn't breathe underwater. For the first time, he understood what it was like to panic when drowning. His past flashed before his eyes. Faces of all his friends and family appeared in front of him and disappeared just as fast. "The cord! "Remember your lifeline, dummy," said a familiar voice. Then he felt a tug at his back. He imagined a rope keeping him tied to the shore. "Hang on, seaweed brain," the voice said. "You're not getting away from me that easily." Percy looked up. It was Annabeth, but what he saw didn't make sense. She was leaning over the dock at the lake in Camp Half-Blood, and for some reason he could see her wearing her baseball cap. But that wasn't right. She became invisible every time she put it on. "You act like such an idiot sometimes," she said. "Come on, take my hand." He reached up, and as soon as he grabbed her hand, he burst out of the river breathing again. "Are you okay?" Nico asked. "Did it work? How do you feel? Do you feel stronger?" Before he could answer, a voice boomed. "There!" It was Hades and his skeletal army with their weapons drawn. "You shall not escape me this time, Percy Jackson," Hades shouted. "Destroy him!" Then a dark wave popped out of the river and washed all the soldiers away. Percy manipulated underworld liquid without even trying, and he could never do that before. The only one who survived the wave was, of course, Hades. Percy pointed the tip of his blade at his head. "Now, just because I'm a nice person, I'll let you go," he said. "But first, tell me about that trap." But the god disappeared in black smoke, leaving Percy with no info. "Dang it!" Nico's mouth hung open. You just willed the river," he said. "You willed underworld liquid. I think the river worked," Percy said. "You think?" "Nico, listen," Percy told him. "I need you to go back to your dad. Find out what's going to happen on Olympus and try to convince him to help." "What? After what just happened? I can't do that. He'll hate me more than ever." "You have to try," said Percy. "You owe me, both you and him. Besides, you're the only one who might get him to listen." "That's a really depressing thought," Nico said. "Oh, all right. I'll do my best. Besides, he's still hiding something about my mom." "Good luck," said Percy. "I better get going. It's time for me to find Luke." He hopped on Mrs. O'Leary, and they raced back up through Orpheus's tunnel, back to the mortal world. Percy managed to call Annabeth with his mom's phone. "Percy," Annabeth said, "where have you been? We've been worried sick. We left camp undefended, and there's no way any of the gods are—" "I'll fill you in later," he said. "Just meet me at the Empire State. Just trust me, I'll see you there." When he hung up, he felt himself trembling. He wondered if it was a leftover reaction from the Styx. If this plan didn't work, he was pretty sure invulnerability wasn't going to save him from getting blown to bits. The sun had already set by the time he made it to the Empire State Building. Across the street, he saw a familiar shuttle bus with a company name on the side that said, "Delphi Strawberry Service," the cover name for Camp Half-Blood. Of course, selling strawberries was in fact how they managed to pay for all the camp's expenses. The campers were lined up on the street. Pollux, Selena, the Stoll brothers, Michael Yu, Will Salas, Kayla Knowles, Katie Gardner, Jake Mason, and lots of others. They were all ready for battle. Chiron came out of the back in wheelchair form. No one from the Ares cabin was here, but Percy tried not to look too disappointed about that. Clarice was a stubborn idiot. End of story. There were less than 30 campers at least. That wasn't really enough to fight in a war, but it was still the biggest group of half-bloods Percy had ever seen in one place outside of camp. A little voice inside his head was saying, "One of them's the spy!" But he couldn't let that distract him. Then Percy just noticed Annabeth stepped out of the bus, and she looked surprisingly nice in her battle armor tonight. "What is it?" she asked him. Just then he realized he was staring at her. Nothing, he said. Really, he just couldn't shake the thought of seeing her in that vision he had while being dipped in the Styx. He still wasn't sure what that meant. but he tried not to let that distract him. He turned to the others. "Thanks for coming, guys." Then he turned to Chiron. "After you, Chiron," he said. "Actually," Chiron said, "I only came to wish you good luck, my boy." "But you're our leader. You should be helping us. We need you," Percy said. "Percy, I'm afraid being your mentor isn't the same as being the actual leader," he said. "I promise I will go scout for more allies. Hopefully some of my relatives will come. But it was you who called the campers here, Percy. You are the leader. I know you will do well. Just remember your strengths and beware of your weaknesses." Percy took a deep breath. "Okay," he told the campers. "For all we know, a possible trap may happen by tonight. We have to get an audience with Zeus and convince him to defend the city. To Olympus!" When they walked up to the front desk, the guard asked, "What's this? School group?" "Listen, we're about to close down, so..." "We're not a school group," Percy told him. "We need to get to the 600th floor." "Oh, elevators to your left," the guard said. "I guess you already know the way." The next thing Percy knew, he and his friends were once again at the doorsteps to Olympus. Halfway up the steps, Pollock said, Guys, does anyone else see that?" He pointed at the horizon, and a blue light spread across the sky and disappeared just as fast. It didn't seem to do any damage, but still, it was strange. "It's like infrared scopes," said Michael. "Let's keep moving," said Percy. No one was even guarding the throne room, and the doors were left open. In the corner was an old friend encased in a globe of water. Bessie the cow serpent, a.k.a. the Ophiotaurus. Percy hadn't seen him since his dad took him to live in an aquarium right here on Olympus, and that was like a year and a half ago. Also in the room, sitting next to the hearth, who Percy was pretty sure wasn't there a second ago, was Hestia. She was a grown woman now, but with that same brown dress and those fiery eyes, Percy knew it was her.